Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this video lesson on European exploration. This is part 2 of 2 video lessons. I am Miss Jennifer Blank, and I will be your guide on this journey. All right, so in the last lesson, we talked about the causes, important empires, nations, technology, and key European countries. In this lesson, we're going to talk about pre-Columbian trade world, key explorers, colonization, economics and globalization, the transatlantic slave trade, and effects. So hold on to your hats. Here we go. All right, key explorers. You should, listen, real talk, for the AP exam, you can't memorize everything. You really can't. So my suggestion would be to learn as much as you can, but memorize some key facts for each era so that you have something to pull from when you're writing essays, right? So I would say memorize information about 3 of these explorers minimum. If you can do 4 or 5, that's great. Try to if you can memorize all of them, you're smarter than I am. So more power to you, you know. But I would say focus 3 to 5, okay, to make this manageable. So we have Prince Henry the Navigator, Bartholomew Diaz, Vasco da Gama, Christopher Columbus, everybody knows him, Amerigo Vespucci, everybody thinks they know him, Ferdinand Magellan, John Cabot, Jacques Cartier, Hernan Cortez, and Francisco Pizarro, right? So pick a few of those, focus on them, memorize as much as you can about them, and move on with life. All right, colonization. What the natives wanted was peaceful trade. What they got was smallpox. Okay, have you ever seen that little meme that says, April showers bring May flowers bring smallpox? Anyway, I don't know if anyone else is laughing or if it's just me, but European settlers rolled in there, took their land, took out as many of them as humanly possible so they could make room for their own colonies. Okay, the Columbian Exchange was useful. It was certainly useful for Europe. Europe got way more out of it than the natives did. Effectively, what the Columbian Exchange is a biological and cultural exchange between the old and new worlds. Okay, that's effectively what it is. So what is it? This is a breakdown so you can see what Europe took from the new world and brought back, what the natives got from the old world. So Europeans got gold, silver, potatoes, beans, vanilla, chocolate. Chocolate is good times. I'm excited about that one. Many of us should be. Tobacco, cotton, and syphilis. The natives struck back with a vengeance. They gave the Europeans an STD. Now, what do the natives get? They got wheat, sugar, rice, horses, coffee. Coffee. The natives got coffee. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So we should be excited about that. Horses, cows, pigs, now this is where they got the lower end of the deal. They got the worst part of this bargain, man. Smallpox, influenza, measles, typhus, bubonic plague, diphtheria, and scarlet fever. Not good times. Most of the natives in the New World were not wiped out by conquest, contrary to popular belief. They were wiped out by disease. They had no built-in immunity to any of these European diseases. And, I mean, there's a lot of them. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. I'm sure there were more. There's 7. I mean, come on. Forget it. They were, most of them died due to disease. And those that were left were largely wiped out by conquest. All right. So economics and globalization, some things we got to talk about. So we exist, at least in the United States, exist with a capitalist economy, or really it's a mixed economy, but capitalism, we know what that is. There was no capitalism at this time in history. It did not yet exist. It would not exist until the 1600s. So the economic system was mercantilism or mercantilism, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So that's right there. So that's the dominant system, right? It has 2 goals. Get as much gold and silver as possible and export, sell more than import, buy. All right, so you want to sell more of your stuff than you buy of other people's stuff. Okay, so European countries use their colonies to enrich themselves. All right, this is going to cause problems, especially for England later on, but Spain's going to feel it too. Okay, basically, you would sacrifice the colonies for the benefit of the mother country. And after a while, the colonists, not too happy about that. But that's for a later video lesson. Now, what is capitalism? Capitalism is an economic system that factors of production, resources, are controlled by private individuals and not the government. All right, this system replaces mercantilism after colonization. All right, what are factors of production? So land, labor, capital, all right, entrepreneurship. Those are the major factors of production. Now, in mercantilism, the mother country controls all of that and decides what happens. What is produced, how much of it is produced, and who produces it, and for whom is it produced, right? Now, in capitalism, private citizens just make that decision and the government stays out of it. Okay, so this idea of capitalism is going to fundamentally modernize modern economics, and it's going to pave the way for globalization. Now, the transatlantic slave trade. Very briefly, it is the process of trade between between Europe, the Americas, and Africa. All right, Europeans controlled all trade in the Americas, and depending on which colony belonged to who, the mother country controlled trade with that colony. Okay, so you can see there's a little graphic down here. So, for example, sugar, tobacco, and cotton go to Europe. And then from Europe to Africa, we have textiles, rum, and manufactured goods that go to Africa. And then from Africa, slaves that go to the Americas that provide all the labor to make all these things. Okay, so that's effectively the transatlantic slave trade. Now, short-term effects. There are short-term, there are long-term effects, right? So short-term effects of the age of exploration. Geographic knowledge. We developed such a massively increased understanding of the world and what it looks like and what's in it, okay? The Portuguese established trading posts in Africa. Prince Henry the Navigator organized a navigational school to try to expand exploration. And we found a sea route, or the Portuguese, they found a sea trade route to India. We have the Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494. We have Magellan sailing around the world, the first guy to do that. This is what makes him important, in case you were wondering. Hernan Cortez conquers Mexico. That happens in about 1519 or so. And then Francisco Pizarro conquers the Incas in South America. Okay, and that happens earlier. Long-term effects. Long-term effects, we have colonization. Without exploration, there are no colonies. Okay, so exploration makes colonization possible. Slavery is massively expanded because once people in the Europeans in the New World figure out how fertile the soil is and what you can do with it, then they need massive manual labor to produce these crops. Okay, Europe establishes a sea trade with India. Their triangular trade develops. Okay, the Columbian Exchange occurs. Establishment of mercantilism as the primary economic system, and capitalism also starts, and it replaces mercantilism later. You see the full effect of that after the American Revolution in 1776. Up until that point, all of Europe is completely mercantilist. That was one of the reasons why the American colonies revolted in the first place. They were getting taken advantage of economically by England, and they were mad as hell and weren't going to take it anymore. So I hope you learned what you needed to. This is the end of part 2. I will see you in the next video.